يا من هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر الخالق البارئ المصور الغفار.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Dearest friends and family, I want to make some commentary on the International Symposium on the history and legacy of Muslims in the Caribbean that was celebrated and amazingly constructed by a set of Islamic institution, organization, including of the University of Guyana, the president, the government of Guyana, International Symposium on the History and Legacy of Muslims in the Caribbean. And it has to do with the IRCICA and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, all working together to bring this beautiful program together. Totally applauding, and the address by His Excellency the President was truly most brilliant and dynamic. And he said what he was interested in was the future. Where do we use the past? And His Excellency concerned the present and into the future for Islam as a dominant world religion in coexistence, in magnificent relationship with the other religions of the world, that is going in a new way, in a new format, that the world and the universe is calling for. The unity of humanity, unity of religion, unity in human development, my beloved divine friends, family and brothers and sisters. But that entire speech, maybe 90% of it, I will be bringing on the Electric Mosque teachings of Islam on NTN, on YouTube and Facebook, inshallah, as the week progresses and so forth. Now, with history and legacy of Muslims in the Caribbean, I love it. I was, and I applaud it, and I love presentations. Well, time will never be enough. There were even complaints by some of the presenters on the second day that in 20 minutes, how can you discuss 16 years or 150 years? But my point is, you're supposed to present the paper. And these kinds of things, you do the highlights. So if some of the presenters didn't understand that, because there was some complaint openly, then something is wrong. You're supposed to present a paper, and then you're supposed to do the basic highlights. So all of that was fine, but when it comes down to the crux of it all, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you a little synopsis here. From what I gathered, I went in there today, I listened yesterday, and so on, and then I saw certain things and I experienced certain things that was a bit disappointing. I'm not attacking anybody. I will not attack anybody. I will not call any negative names, but I was very disappointed in certain aspects. And you know me, I would say it openly, a spade is a spade. So first thing I was disappointed with is when I went in, there are these banners, and I'll show you like banners that you've seen me here, the Universal Peace Federation. Well, not a flag, but a banner. They have one from Jamaica, history of Muslims in Jamaica, but so as you walk in, history of Muslims in Trinidad and Tobago. And while we had a prominent brother Muslim of a prominent organization in Guyana who is a historian, politician, or political student, and in bachelor's and even in master's and postgraduate studies, nobody thought in none of these big organizations, including the person representing Guyana on the committee for this entire program, did not realize that we needed a banner. They could have asked yours truly, and yours truly would have contributed or donated, or gifted a banner for the event. I mean, it would have been beautiful. Guyana have had an extremely rich legacy of Muslims from historic times, starting with the Fulanis and the first mosque that they built, and so forth. I mean, what they went through, the privations and the difficulties, we needed to have a banner there. So, to the committee that was involved from Guyana, I'm very disappointed with you. That is why sometimes it is good to seek counsel from other people as well. But we know in Guyana how, and maybe other places as well, how this ego thing operates. You know, some people don't like to ask for counsel or guidance. Now, that being said, I want to give you another crux that I saw, and I will have to do a little bit of Arabic, very little bit of Arabic. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, the foundation, the Pehla Kalma, the first foundation of Islam, the La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah. Now, there is one and only one God, Allah, and Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, is the messenger of Allah. And the other one I want to make is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, most foundational and the power that is the religion of Islam. Surah Al-Ikhlas, one of the shortest chapters of the Holy Quran. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of God Almighty, the most gracious, the most merciful. Kul, say. Kul hu Allah Ohad, Allahu Samad, Lam Yulid, wa Lam Yulad, wa Lam Yakul lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Say, He is Allah, besides whom there is no other God, the absolute, the eternal. He begat not, and He is not begotten. So He is Allah, the absolute, the eternal. He begat not, nor is He begotten. And the word you start with is Kul. Now, beloved divine friends, family, brothers and sisters, that is the foundation of the religion of Islam. So what I listen there, and what I'm looking at, one brother, highly scholarly, highly intellectual, but he was talking about something was missing at something, and he was talking about a school of thought. And it's referred to as mazhab, your sect. And others about this mazhab and your sect. And then about the Sunni and the Shia, and so on and so on. But somehow or the other, they seem to have forgotten the kalima. The original, the first one of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. That is the criterion upon which Islam has to be built. Not Sunniism, or who created which school of thought, or the Shia, or the Ahmadi, as another brother was talking there about Ahmadi, and about others that crept out, the Deobandi, and so on. It is La ilaha illallah, and the concept is believing in the one and only one God, the absolute, the eternal. He beget not, nor is He begotten, and there is none like unto Him. This is the unity, inclusive of many more aspects of the religion of Islam to unite the Muslims. And they didn't talk about how the wars and misunderstandings and intolerance comes about because of these mazhabs or these sects, as if a sect is a certified thing by Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, or by Allah in the Quran. Now, our beloved Prophet told us very pellucidly or clearly, he knew there would be divisions and issues and problems. Even in his lifetime, some people were trying to form their groups and sects. And Allah spoke to him. So, but he said what? Rasulullah, I leave you two things. This Quran and my traditions, my example. If you follow these two, his words, you cannot go wrong. And Shaitan, that is in his last sermon, can never enter again into this land of yours. Well, we have seen in the Holy Land that the Satan is entering again because they are not following the glorious Quran. They are following teachings of sects, which was one in Arabia, the Wahhabi, some extent the Sunni, and then in other lands, like most and in many countries, Shiaism and what's not and what's not. But today, Satan is entering the Holy Land because they are not following the example of the Rasul, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. The Holy Quran, speaking against sectarianism, of which I'm disappointed that one of them mentioned the word, but he didn't say which school of thought, so that you could start to discriminate. You could start to say, oh, he come from that school of thought. For example, when I was in Mecca, and I went to Medina, and I managed to get in very nicely near to the Prophet's grave, Allah be pleased with him. And there was a man who was trying to get in, and people were blocking him, and I was asking the security, can you allow him? And the security was saying, like he was upset, and then he watched me and he said, Shia, that he is Shia. He comes from Iran. So, this is the fostering of hate, which is anti-Islam. The Holy Quran, for you who were at the event, and I will try to send it out public, Al-Hujurat, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, no time for Arabic. Believers are but one brotherhood. Contend for peace, not conflict. Al-Hujurat, the chapter, the apartments, for those of you who are interested. It's a very interesting part in there that you will want to learn and study. The Holy Quran says, now this is not a direction for some of you to be cruel or to boycott, as you like to do. Some of you are known to have done that to people who you feel belong to a sect, because some of you believe only your sect is right. Like the Shia believe their sect is right. The Sunni believe their sect is the only sect that is right. The Ahmadis believe their sect is the only sect that is right. The Deobandi believe their sect is the only one that is right, and there are 72 sects. And the Quran says, 6:150. As for those who divide their religion into sects, SECTS, well, we know how the mind of some people work. As for those who divide their religion into sects, SECTS, thou have no concern of them in the least. Now, some people like to interpret this to mean, oh, boycott them, don't associate with them, don't let your children marry in them. But then the Quran goes on to say you have to go to the context of Muslims. Have no concern with them in the least. That doesn't mean boycott them. It means a guidance. Leave them alone. Let them do what they want. If you think they're wrong, but we know that Allah has told us sometimes something that you don't like might be the right thing. And something that you like might be the bad thing. So I go on. The Quran says, 6:150, their affair is only with Allah. You see, the tune and the mindset with which you are thinking. Their affair is only with Allah. He will inform them of what they did. And we know what they have done. They turned around and they murdered people. And it was raised there, where one brother was murdered in Guyana, one was murdered for being Ahmadis, and one was murdered in Trinidad. They were saying, and they were talking, and may Allah give them a resting place. But as for those who divide their religion into sects, thou have no concern of them in the least. Their affair is only with Allah. He will inform them of what they did. Quran 6:150. So the style of the interpretation of the human Muslim mentality that you shall have no fear with them does not mean you have to boycott them. You have to go to the context. Their affair, their business is only with Allah because they think they are right. And maybe between the two of you who think you are right and you think they are wrong, maybe you are wrong. So this is where sectarianism is the bane of Islam. Sectarianism is the destruction of the religion of Islam. Sectarianism is the destruction of human cohabitation, communication, love and tolerance. And sectarianism is responsible for wars and murders and millions of Muslims being destroyed and denied. The Holy Quran continues to warn the Muslims, and be not like those who became divided and disregard after clear arguments had come to them. And those it is that shall have a grievous chastisement on the day when faces will turn white and some faces shall turn black. So the black might turn white and the white might turn black. And then as to those whose face turned black, it will be said to them what they did. And obviously for those who turned white. So brothers and sisters, my point, my aim, and this is the point I had wanted to raise very beautifully, after hearing of the wars in history and so on, and the mazhabs and the school of thought that these guys right there at this event were clinging to, none of them spoke of the wrong of sectarianism, and the right thing is non-sectarian. Even Zakir Naik speaks against sectarianism. He does not believe Islam has anything to do with sect. So I challenge all the scholars who were there, beautifully, to prove one verse from this beautiful, amazing Quran, Allah's gift to humanity, one verse that shows Sunnism or Shiaism or division or sectarianism, because you can't win. Now the chairman did not allow me. He intentionally blocked me from speaking. I don't want to call his name, he's my good friend. But he allowed those guys who had long talks, presented papers, And then he allowed them to sit in their chairs, 3 of them, to speak again long-windedly, and then telling us that we can't speak or other persons they cut. I think the chairman slipped up and did a poor job there. I think the chairman there at today's event, the second event, that chairman should have said, we will give those who didn't have a chance. That is on the 5th, the second day, that is today, Tuesday. And then those others, the big boys, the scholars, could come in and talk. This is my message here to you, my beloved divine friends and families, on non-sectarianism. That is the way for the future. If we could eliminate from our hearts this thought and idea of sectarianism, then we would have universal peace and goodwill in the Islamic world. But some don't want that, because some of them who have these mazhabs or these sects, whether it is the Hanafi school of thought, this Shia school of thought, or whatever, some people market it for wealth, for power, to enrich the pockets. And you give them these arguments, and you show them out that they are wrong, and they really can't accept. They can't comment. They try to leave. My beloved divine friends and family, they try to leave a discussion. They can't take it because they're emotionally attached to that which is wrong. Sectarianism is wrong. So all of you, my beloved friends that I respect much. There was a moderator called Rayhan Shaw. We didn't see her there. But instead we had Nazim Hussain. There was a speaker, Atika Khan. There was Nazim Khan, a former investigative producer with Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Ahmad Hamid, Imam and researcher. Wazir Baksh, historian and community activist. So, friends and families, ladies and gentlemen, I've made that point there, and I think this will turn into an Electric Mosque Teachings of Islam. But I'll send this out now in the raw material before I do the full editing to put the Electric Mosque presentations of the teachings of Islam, and then maybe a few more quotes to make up the 30 minutes for television as usual. But this will be on YouTube, Electric Mosque Guyana. This will be on Facebook, Electric Mosque Guyana, and then later on, over the weekend, NTN Channel 69. Your friend, your brother, Hajji, Dr. Roshan Khan, giving you salam. Let's work for peace. Let's work for non-sectarian Islam, for the goodwill, the love, the harmony, the joy of true Islam. Anybody who thinks that they're so sure about sectarianism is in the Quran, and that sectarianism is good for the development of Islam, please let us have a friendly chat with other scholars. I am not a scholar, but your scholarship and other scholars. I wish to state also that I was quite disappointed that Sheikh Moeen ul-Haq did not make a presentation. Sheikh Moeen ul-Haq is the accepted scholar of Islam in this country. We have others as well, Sheikh Halim, but Sheikh Moeen ul-Haq has a kind of a persona and a dynamo and an administrative skill that is extremely powerful and extremely beautiful for Guyana, Islam in Guyana, and Islam around the world. He is a true, now fully matured ambassador for peace. I wish to recognize Sheikh Moeen ul-Haq with my salam and my best wishes, and to say how much you are respected and looked up to, my beloved divine friends Brother Sheikh Moeen. I wish to congratulate and thank His Excellency the President for allowing the International Symposium of the History and Legacy of Muslims in the Caribbean to be observed in Guyana, and also for supporting and helping with them, and for the beautiful, amazing presentation that he gave. I mean, that by itself is one entire electric mosque. I'll have to just trim maybe 5 or 7 minutes out of it for his wisdom. Excellency President Dr. Irfan Ali, wisdom in his presentation of the future of Islam makes him the #1 ambassador for peace in the world, as far as I am concerned. So friends, family, brothers and sisters, let us strive as Muslims to overcome sectarianism, the thought of division within selves. Let us also realize the Christians have thousands of sects. It is said, I was shocked when I heard. The Sanatana Dharma has many sects and many sects. S-E-C-T-S. So, Islam has 72 sects. And the true one, which will be the 73rd, would be the right one. It has to be the one that is non-sectarian. The Guyana Islamic Forum, of which I was a part, and the true founder, in which there was Maulana Muhammad Ali and Imam Muhammad Rashid, who played a part, and then we formed the forum. But then eventually I had to leave the Guyana Islamic Forum. I'm no longer there, brothers and sisters, because certain people used ego, and then they were not doing the right things, the financial accountability, and then they were rewarding themselves secretly, and many wrong things were doing. So I'm no longer an executive of the Guyana Islamic Forum. I will be forming the Guyana Islamic Federation for Human Development, and do whatever I can do to work with the other genuine Islamic organizations for human development, love, goodwill, and joy. Your friend, your brother, Hajji, Dr. Roshan Khan, in love with each and every one of you. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah. And if you're still listening, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, the foundation of the religion of Islam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Kul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahus samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. That is the foundation. There is nothing there or anywhere in the Quran to cause division. May Allah be pleased with you, bless you, and raise each and every one of you to the glory. I thank the scholars for being in Guyana. I thank His Excellency the President, Dr. Irfan Ali, and I honor them and I bless them, and I wish them all, and hope that in some future time we can have another better, greater event. Your friend Hajji, Dr. Roshan Khan, saying thank you and farewell, friend.
يا من هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر الخالق البارئ المصور الغفار